Hey, what's going on, folks? Eric here, creator of Empowered Legends Begin, and today is issue 8, or episode 8, in the video tutorial series. This is the first of 3 videos that will showcase how to do battle and engage events. Let's take a quick peek at how those work first, and then we'll dive into the board. Okay, so let's talk pawns and reputation. So reputation, it represents your alignment and it's used as a currency for costs and effects. As a player, you have 3 reputations that you can choose from. The gold star represents a hero, the purple skull represents a villain, and the orange mask represents a vigilante. Each of these reputation types has a carryover to the pawns that are also on the board with you. If you see the gold star ribbon, that is a cop. The purple skull ribbon is a criminal, and the orange fedora is a stranger. Defeating these pawns in battle always yield rewards. No matter which type you defeat, you'll always get experience points. If you defeat a cop, you get a villain point. If you defeat a criminal, you get a hero point. And if you defeat a mysterious stranger, you get a vigilante point. If at any point you see this symbol, that is a wild point, meaning that you can choose any point of reputation that you would like. With that done, let's go into some of the basics involving combat with pawns. Combat basics. Choose the appropriate superpower die. Black fighting style hand versus pawns, or the red combat power versus events. Gather event die based on your experience track. Roll them together, apply modifiers to the superpower die, and try and exceed the target number. Success equals offense and you're looking for hits. Failure is defense, looking for shields, and either way, you can use your clues as wildcards. Remember, those are also used for investigations. Don't forget to use powers, items, and equipment to change and or subtract icons from your pool. Okay, let's head back to the board and see this done in real time. Okay, so here we are live, we are set up at the board, and what we're going to go over today specifically is pawn battles. Now my character is down here, and it's the same character that I've been building throughout this tutorial series. It's the green stick science character, and I actually have my player board right over here off to the side, and he is currently set up to level 4. If you remember, he's also a hero, and he is a martial artist as well as a cryokinetic freezing character. Just above me is the mysterious stranger, or the stranger. Over here in the park, we have a criminal. We have another stranger over here in the alley. We have a criminal up in the top corner. And over on the police department over here, we have a cop. So using the rules that we established before, we know that I can move 2 zones with basic movement. So that puts me up to 1, 2 here. It can also put me around this way, 1, 2. It can bring me over here, 1, 2. So I do have a lot of options. Now remember, although my character is a hero, that does not mean that I specifically have to go after criminals. As mentioned before, this game is open-ended, so you can choose to turn over a new leaf and change your reputation anytime that you want. But with that said, I do like being a hero, so I'm going to go ahead and move my character his 2 zones, 1 to Central Park, and then 1 over to the Basic Park, which is a free location. So here we have both my player and the criminal in the same zone. I'm going to use a battle action to fight the pawn. Another player on the board is going to roll the pawn die. That is this gray die right here. And this die dictates how the pawn is reacting to your character. So on one side here, we have run. The player who rolled for the pawn is then going to take it and move it 1 zone away from you. So he is running away. Now this potentially is the worst option of all 6 because he has effectively canceled your combat and you do not get the chance to engage and gain any rewards. Now if you roll this fist, that is simply telling you that the pawn is fighting you with a strength of 2. This means the pawn is fighting you with a strength of 3, and this means the pawn is fighting you and its strength is equal to the number of players in the game. That symbol always means number of players. This side means that the pawn is calling for backup with a strength of 2. This means the pawn is calling for backup with a strength of 3. And arguably the worst one, this means the pawn is running away. I'm going to roll the dice for the pawn. So this has landed on a strength of 3. Now remember, for pawn battles, this is where you use your black superpower die. So for me, that is my martial artist ability. Now I have a power saying once per turn, I can re-roll my black die versus pawns. And that's great because that'll allow me to potentially pass a roll should I fail. So with that 3, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my black superpower die. And because I am level 4, I'm going to take my 4 event dice, and I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to find a spot to roll, and I'm going to go for it. Okay, so here's my roll. Now remember, in this game, you have to exceed the number shown in order to win. So right now, he has a strength of 3, meaning that I needed to roll a 4 or better, and of course, I'm allowed to use buffs in order to make that happen. Now, earlier in the video, we mentioned that rolling is only done once. It's all-encompassing. So you roll your superpower die with your event dice. If you roll and succeed, you are on offense, and you are looking for as many hits as possible. If you roll and fail, you are on defense, and you are looking for as many shields as possible. So I have rolled a 1, and I have failed this roll. So I am on the defense, and the criminal is now attacking me. If you're wondering how much damage the criminal does, he also does 3 damage because he's a little bit heftier this one, and because that's what it says on his dice right there. So in this scenario, I have failed the roll, I have collected 2 shields, and now I would look at my items and superpowers to see if I can possibly find myself another way of getting a shield or generating a shield so that I don't take any damage. I'm not able to do that right now, meaning that I can only have these 2 shields. So if he has a strength of 3 and I have 2 shields, I will take 1 damage. But remember, I have my martial artist card, which means once per turn I can re-roll my black die, my fighting style die, versus pawns. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So with that roll, I now have 5, which is great because now I am on the offense. He had a strength of 3, I've rolled a 5, that's great. That means now I have to look for as many hits as I can. How many hits do I need? Pawns, no matter what type they are, only ever have 1 health. All right, so I won. The battle is over. I'm going to take that criminal and I'm going to put him off the table into the box of pawns, and now I'm going to collect my rewards. Okay, so here we are back at the hero sheet. You always get 1 experience point. Now I defeated a criminal, so that's doing something good, meaning I get 1 point on the hero track. So let's take a look at some other options. If a player rolls the call for backup symbol, which is the 2 or the 3, that means you're going to pick another pawn of the same reputation anywhere on the map, and you're going to move that pawn to the same location. So now I am fighting 2 criminals at the same time, and they both have a strength of 2. The rules for this work exactly the same. So I'm going to roll all these up and see what I get. Once again, I have rolled a 5. We can see that that is definitely enough to exceed the 2 strength that these criminals have. And we have 4 hits. Each criminal only has 1 HP. They only take 1 hit. So I have more than enough. Here are my 2 hits, 1 for each of them. These are just extra. I have now defeated 2 pawns. And if you were wondering, yes, that does in fact mean that I get 2 hero points and 2 experience points. Now that might seem amazing, but remember, cops, criminals, strangers, they don't always end up on the same space together. And when they do, if you fail and miss, you are now taking damage from all of those guys collectively. So if I had rolled a 1, and these are 2 individual criminals, they each would have dealt 2 damage to me. That would have been 4 damage. So although it's great to try and fight a lot of pawns in a cluster, you can also get easily overwhelmed, and you don't want to get taken out in potentially 1 turn. This is your green movement superpower die. This die is still always present, even if you don't have that ability. This is the die that you also use for when you're navigating the sewers. Anytime a player or a pawn runs away from you, you get 1 chance to roll this green superpowered movement die. If it lands on 4 or the whoosh, then you actually get to chase down your opponent and continue with battle as normal. That player or pawn also cannot make another attempt to run away and must battle with you. If you happen to be in a space that has 2 different types of pawns, or potentially 3, when you go to do battle, you will pick specifically which type of pawn you are battling. In this case, if I said I wanted to battle the criminals, I do not have the option to only battle 1. If I choose criminals, I will fight them both. If I choose the stranger, then I will only be battling the 1. Now there is one other function of pawns that other players can use, and that is called a pawn attack. So my player is here, and I'm a hero. If by chance something causes this cop right here to move into my space, nothing will happen because he is a cop and I'm a hero, so we share the same reputation. So in this case, this pawn is a criminal and he gets moved into that space by another player or game effect. that pawn is now attacking me. The same rule is going to be applied. The only difference is we are going to omit the runaway symbol. We're going to roll the dice, we're going to see what it lands on, and we're going to go through combat in the exact same way. The only difference with this is, because you are on defense, you are purely just fighting for your life. Even if you win the battle, you get no rewards out of this. You are simply trying to defend in order to not take damage. In other words, if you are trying to slow down the other players, damage them, or potentially get them to respawn, you are funneling pawns toward them, almost like missiles, to try and take them out, because you know that even if they succeed, they're not getting rewards out of it. They're just trying to defend. Last thing to consider is that when a pawn is being spawned for the first time, you can choose whether or not it's going to go in a generic alley or under the spawn point of its respective reputation. All right, everyone, that's it. We are done. This one is good to go. The next video is when we're going to dive into battles, and that is the actual event cards on the opposite side of the locations.